8th grade science, chapter 1, section 3, characteristics of soil. Before God placed plant life on earth, he created the physical factors needed for life: light, air, water, and soil. Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 through 11. Soil conditions are very important to living things and, in many ways, determine the kinds of plant life and therefore the kinds of animal life that can live in a certain area. Pedology is thus an important part of the study of the earth. Organic particles, products of life. Soil is composed of particles of organic material primarily derived from living organisms. These particles are mixed with fine particles of mineral materials, material primarily derived of non-living matter, such as minerals and rocks. As animals and plants die, microscopic organisms like bacteria and fungi decompose or break down the remains. This process of decomposition leaves behind minerals and humus, a substance composed of decayed organisms' particles. Humus is usually black or brown and, like a sponge, holds large amounts of water. Since decaying organisms release their chemical makeup into the soil, humus is important for enriching the soil with nutrients. Multiple-use materials. To enrich soil with humus, farmers often add animal waste or plow under certain crops, like soybeans and alfalfa. Gardeners use kitchen scraps, crushed eggshells, stale bread, shredded paper towels, and other biodegradable, naturally decomposable materials to form a compost pile. Once decomposed, forms humus that the gardeners add to their soil. Using compost waste to create humus is an example of recycling or reusing old materials. Natural recycling shows God's design. The nutrients in humus originally came from the soil and eventually make their way back into the soil, where they can be used again. For example, the nitrogen molecules in a fallen oak leaf may be recycled to become part of a tomato plant in your garden. Staying near the surface. Most soils consist of only 4% to 5% organic material by weight, the rest being mineral material. However, the peat soils found in wet, boggy places are almost completely organic, being made from slowly decomposing grass and moss. Most of the organic material is found within the topsoil, the top 5 to 15 centimeters or 2 to 6 inches of soil. Topsoil is easily eroded by rain and is quickly depleted of nutrients by plants. Because topsoil is essential to the earth, it should be maintained through environmental practices like crop rotation and erosion prevention. Mineral particles, rock remnants. The Creator provided for the renewal of mineral material through weathering, the processes that break rocks down into soil. Weathered particles wash down through the topsoil and settle into a lower horizon or soil layer called subsoil. Subsoil is not as dark as topsoil because it contains less organic material and more mineral material. When the topsoil is washed away by rain or blown away by wind, decayed organisms on the exposed subsoil nurture the development of the new topsoil. Below the subsoil lies a layer of solid rock called bedrock, safely buried beneath the top two horizons. Most of the bedrock is shielded from weathering forces. Its sturdy mass provides a firm foundation for the Earth's surface. Typical textures. The type of rock and the method of weathering determine the particle size and composition of mineral materials. The combination of different sizes of mineral particles determines the texture of the soil. Sand, which is coarse and gritty with large, easily seen particles, allows air and water into the soil. Particles of silt are smaller than those of sand. Some are so fine that they can be seen only with a microscope. Because of the size of its particles, silt feels like flour. Of the different types of mineral materials, clay has the smallest and therefore most tightly packed particles. An electron microscope is needed to view clay particles. When packed together, particles of dry clay become quite hard, but when wet, they feel sticky and are moldable. Pedologists, or scientists who study soil, have named different combinations of soil based on percentage by weight of sand, silt, and clay. For example, silty soil contains a high weight percentage of silt, and sandy soil contains a high weight percentage of sand. Because clayey soil has the highest weight percentage of clay, the clay particles pack together closely, making this soil the most difficult for water and air to move through, but the easiest for plants to absorb water and nutrients. Loam contains a range of sand, silt, clay, and humus mixtures. A proper balance of the mixtures is necessary for healthy plants. Most loam contains 3% to 7% humus. Farmers and gardeners use fertile loam, a loam that contains sufficient humus for their crops to grow well. The sand in loam encourages drainage and allows roots to get the optimum airspace, while the humus and clay help retain water and nutrients. Characteristic color. Soils exhibit a wide range of soil color, including not only reds, yellows, and browns, but also greens, blues, grays, and blacks. The color of soil depends on the amount of organic matter and types of minerals present. We know that a dark soil contains more organic matter than a light soil. Reddish soils usually result from the weathering of rocks containing iron. The color is a result of the iron rusting. The element manganese produces a dark black or purplish black soil color. Pedologists use Munsell charts to provide standard names and descriptions of soil colors. The charts contain over 322 color chips to which the soil is compared. The color chips describe basic aspects of colors like the lightness and darkness, or the brightness. To properly determine soil color, a pedologist moistens a soil sample if it is dry and stands with the sun shining over his shoulder onto the sample and Munsell chart. He breaks the sample apart to get a freshly exposed surface, which he compares with the chart. Preferred pH. Scientists describe soil as acidic, basic, or neutral, neither acidic nor basic. Acidic substances like vinegar or lemon juice are easily recognized by their sour taste. Lime, a substance used in making mortar and cement, and ammonia are examples of basic substances. To express the degree of acidity or basicity of a substance, chemists use the pH scale. The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14. A pH value of 7 indicates a neutral substance. Values less than 7 are considered acidic, whereas those greater than 7 are basic. Soils differ in pH ranging from 3.5 to 11.0. Most plants grow best in soil that is neutral or slightly acidic. Some plants, like blueberries and strawberries, prefer very acidic soil, while plants like lilacs and peonies prefer basic soil. The pH of soil can be lowered by adding fertilizer, peat moss, or sulfur, and can be raised by adding lime or wood ash. To avoid harming plants, take care to not use too much of these substances and to apply them correctly.